What's up guys, and welcome to the Mirage primer, where we teach you how to play Mirage on a relatively basic level. This is going to be a little more smoke heavy, or I'm going to be showing you a lot more smokes than usual, because of how important it is to smoke off choke points on this map, so that you have an easier time to take certain parts of the map. We're going to start with mid on the T side, because mid is pretty critical towards basically doing anything on the map. If you don't show presence at mid at all within the first like minute and a half, more so 1 minute, CTs are going to be a little more inclined to stack towards bomb sites rather than playing a pseudo 1-3-1 setup, which I'll explain later. So you do want to put in some mid presence. Even one nade set with one person lurking mid can be quite effective in spreading out the defense and preventing defense execute defense from being as strong as it could be. So we're going to start off with the basic standard stuff. Top mid smoke. The most common one you'll see is standing on top of the trash can here, all the way in the corner, aiming at this antenna tip right there and left clicking. This is your go-to smoke for like 99% of rounds. This lets you cross the mid boxes obviously, and has a very small gap towards connector, but this is a pretty hard shot to hit, so you can pretty easily cross over here. Now, I'm going to show you a second version because the window smoke is from that position as well. So you can stand on this corner here by the staircase, and you're going to aim at the tip of this little pole right there and left click throw. This will give you essentially the same smoke. There might be slight variations, but it shouldn't be noticeable to the point where it'll affect your gameplay, I guess. Now for the window smoke, you want to stand next to the trash can in this corner here. You're going to aim somewhere in the square. I like aiming at the bottom center right here. And then you're going to hit right and the jump throw immediately after. So it's going to be like a kind of deal. I don't know if you can hear this. It's going to be a 1-2. Just do D jump throw, 1-2, 1-2, really quick. So again, you can do that in quick succession, and you will get the window smoke. If you need a really quick, good enough cat smoke, you can stand in this corner right here. You can aim right at this little speck right here, but on the window frame right there, and jump throw. This is good if you want to throw like top mid smoke, window smoke, and cat smoke, so you can really quickly pressure or go into con. The main problem is that there's like the tiniest of gaps right here, and CTs can actually creep out right here and try to catch you going up con. So if you do throw that smoke, be aware of it. What you can do is just throw a molly right next to it, and that'll prevent anyone from pushing. So if you want to use that to get up con really quick, that's something you can do. After the top mid smoke, what you can do is throw a molly into con. It could be just a freehand one, or you could throw one right here, where you just like come up on this little step and then aim at the top of this little line right here. Alright, either of these should be good enough to prevent most con peeks, which allows you to get to mid boxes, and if window is not smoked, you can throw a window smoke, or if cat's not smoked, or if you want to pressure their mid, you can get to mid boxes. So now, if you want a window smoke and you're already out top mid, what you can do is stand against the wall here, the back wall here. Just aim at this little antenna right there, and then at the center of it, and just run and throw. Just run a little bit. You don't have to run too much. Window smoke, cat smoke. Come into this corner of mid boxes, aim right in between these two tips, and left click. A decent pop flash for connector for a teammate would be to come into this corner right here, and then aim at the bottom of this little dark marking on that barrel right there, and left click there. Alright, anyone holding like this, or like this, or even on this side should be blind for most situations. You can also throw one from the same lineup as the Molotov that I threw here. Alright, this is a really good one. And with all these nades, you just want to pressure mid, and you want to grab control of something. You don't want to just like throw all your smokes, throw all utility, and then just post on an angle for like 30 seconds, because then all your smokes are fading. You haven't done anything with your utility, and you're just stuck here. And you don't want to peek because everything here is a crossfire. So when you are throwing your utility, you want to make sure you're actually taking control of something or fighting people in a smart manner. You know, you don't necessarily just want to run and gun, but throw your smokes, throw your flashes, whatever it is. This is what I call the Pug Classic on Mirage, where you just have 4 people in mid. No one wants to do anything because they don't have the utility, or they're too scared to throw their utility. So just make sure if you're throwing utility, you want to get control of something, ask your teammates to throw smokes for you. The easiest way is probably just to pressure con. If you can get like a flash from your teammate, or you could just dry swing right here. Since window might be smoked, you can isolate cat, okay-ish. And you can even come up here, pressure cat, pressure the window jump. Get control of something is a TLDR. Now, I don't actually remember a T-spawn to top connector smoke. The only one I know is from out here by A ramp. So I'll just show you that off real quick. You want to stand in this corner right here, aim at the center top of this antenna right there, and jump throw. I should mention these are all 128 tick if I haven't mentioned that already, but I said that in every video, so maybe you guys remember. I don't know. This is a really good smoke for top con. If you're the A lurker or like watching the A push, you can throw this for your teammates in mid, and your teammates can come up, clear con, and then do whatever it is your team wants to do. Speaking of A, I'll just show you the A execute smokes real quick. CT, center of the door, bottom left corner of this thing right here, and jump throw. Stairs, you all know the stairs lineup, right? Come up here, boom, aim in the center of this polygon here. Yangle. There's a lot of weird lineups for jungle, so you know, do what your heart likes, but I usually do center, strip here, and then halfway up of this pole and to the left, about 1 crosshair, a little less than 1 crosshair, and left click. If you are taking your time to throw an A execute, you do want to make sure that no one's in this close corner of ramp right here. So you should have someone or get some protocol to clear that. You could just throw like a flash like this. That might just, you know, just random flash like this. Should be relatively hard to react to. You could throw a little more to the left to make it even harder to react to. So maybe something along the lines of this. That was a medium throw right there. No one's going to be able to react to this if they're holding here. Although if they are here, then they won't be blind. So be careful. Be careful. Now when it comes to the A side of things, in a default, you're not really going to be doing much here. You could go for this aggressive pick right here. This is like sometimes contested of an op angle as well, so you are worried about that. But aside from that, you're probably just going to be alone, and if you're alone, you just want to chill and not die, so you don't give up all this map control or map presence. This is a common angle to watch the A ramp push. This is a common angle. But aside from that, there's not really much to do here unless you're rushing or executing. And if you are rushing, the really neat flash that I've learned is as you come up the ramp here, you just want to aim in the center of this rectangle right here. And if you throw it high enough, it'll come out there. And you can turn with it as you throw it. And you're basically doing a flash peek for yourself. Now when it comes to palace, you are worried about palace pushes initially, so make sure you have like a decent spawn. If you have a bad spawn, you might even want to consider like throwing a pre-flash for yourself like this. But same idea, you're kind of just holding. And you can look for a timing peak right here or around here if your team is doing a lot of mid stuff, because CTs are probably going to be playing one towards connector. But if you're quiet towards mid and you're not showing any presence, this angle is the most common angle you die from, so don't die from it. One quick util that you should know, you're going to get smoked out palace, and if you need an under balk molly, you can come here to this corner here, aim at that corner right there. Without moving your mouse, you're going to move into this corner and left click throw. It's this front corner. very useful for A executes because you're likely gonna get smoked out. So you just come here, do this. You can also throw a flash if you want. It'll land in there and maybe it'll catch a CT opper or something. You know, maybe. Now when it comes to B, it's kind of like the same principles as A. You're kind of just sitting here and looking for a push. You might see the deep palace, or not palace, apartments smoke come out every so often. And if that's the case, you either got to be a little more aggressive towards mid or reclaim this territory later in the round. So you might want to do like some awkward pop flash like this, so that you can try to clear out the sides and everything. But there's not really much that happens here aside from potentially going for like a pick here or just throwing some pressure. I'll show you the pressure nades first. You can throw this pressure nade into a full exec, which I'll show right after that, or you can just throw this pressure and make the cat player not want to rotate towards mid so that you can either go up cat really quickly or take mid control a little more easily, what have you. So first thing is a smoke. You're going to aim at the center of this line right here, or the edge of the wall right there. So you're going to hug left, aim at the center, left click. That's going to land by the windows. So you can cross this way right here. And then you're going to molly van. Right. You want to throw it off this corner right here just so that you don't accidentally like throw it through this gap right here that leads to nothingness. So it's this corner right here is what you're aiming at. So you come out here, molly that. Now you know no one is under van, or, you know, under balk. It's likely no one's coming into this corner here. You should be able to spot them. And with the smoke and the molly, you can kind of just like creep there. So I'll show you some smokes real quick. This is for get right, I believe. Right side of this window frame, in between this wire and the tip of this building right there. Get left, which is the other arch. You're going to stand on this white line, and you can see it's the one to the right of the tip of the arrow. So 1, 2, boom. You're going to see this E shape right here that I'm outlining with my crosshair. You're going to aim in between the middle and the bottom of it and jump throw. This is 128, as I have said before. Market window. This corner here. Tip of the corner of the building right there. Tip of the corner. And then market door next to the trash can or trash pile. You're going to aim at this T intersection right here and jump throw. That's market window. This is market door. So if you have 4 smokes, you could do a full B execute, which is, albeit a little scary because you can very easily get countered. But hey, you smoked everything on the B site. Pog. There are the Fast McDonald's smokes, which you can check out Pro Strat, believe number 9? I believe it's number 9. But go check that out for the lineups for these. And if you want to do like a fast B rush, you can throw these 2 smokes. Other 3 people are probably getting flashed out by the people that smoked because they can throw late flashes like this. Or if you're doing this on, let's say, a force buy or a SMG buy, people up front can also throw their own flashes and start swinging in sight. But overall, the big thing about Mirage is mid, alright? You want to focus on mid, you want to make sure you're getting control of some part of the map, whether it's ladder, cat, window, con. Don't just throw all your utility and look and wait for them to peek into you, because it's likely they're not peeking into you, or if they do, you're blind while that's happening. So make sure you get control of something. Moving on to the CT side of things. So I mentioned a pseudo 131, and what I mean by that is you're going to have one anchor towards A. You're going to have one sort of towards A, but more so towards connector, assuming people are playing mid defaults. You're going to have one window, and you're going to have kind of 2B with one guy anchoring and then one guy towards cat. Now this cat player doesn't have to be cat. this con player doesn't have to be con, but it's likely that you're going to find players here if you're throwing mid utility. I'm going to start with the A side of things, just because it's relatively simple. Now on the A side of things, since you're an anchor, you have to play in one of two ways. Stay alive and play retake, or get 2 frags and then you're okay with dying. Now you could also just stay alive on the bomb site. That's a little harder, especially on Mirage, but generally speaking, you want to be playing in one of those two ways. You want to make sure your team knows which way you're playing, whether you're playing retake CT, like jump sliding like this, or if you're like, you know, actually on site, dedicated, holding something like this, that, or what have you. As long as your team knows, they can be ready, and if your team doesn't know, then they might get surprised by like some random guy that crept out A ramp or something like that. Now one common misconception, or one common habit that a lot of people do, is smoke A ramp right away. You don't have to smoke A ramp right away. Like, you really don't. You can probably get the same effect with a molly to prevent any aggressive peeks, and then save your smoke, because it's very easy for your smoke to be useful later in the round. And throwing your A ramp smoke 10, or not even 10 seconds, like 2 seconds into the round, just means that they're going to be waiting and they're going to encounter less counter utility if it's like an actual execute, right? If you still had your smoke for the A execute, you could do something along the lines of this. This buys you a lot of room to come onto the bomb site and start taking really weird fights that no one expects. You could also play triple, and you have the smoke up to kind of cover you. Or you could just throw that smoke to kind of play weird off angles and get the 2 frags like I mentioned before, so that you can kind of be as effective as you should be when you are, you know, playing this bomb site. Now moving into connector, you're going to be focused towards mid. You want to make sure you're throwing this counter smoke for the molly that usually lands right around here, or, you know, just in con. And you'll see a lot of pros, especially, and just people in higher level matchmaking and pugs and whatever, you're going to see a lot of people just initially throw this smoke no matter what to prevent T's from getting control of con right away. So this smoke prevents T's from being too aggressive. They could still pop flash through it and everything, but you want to be in a position where you can kind of live at the very least. So what I would recommend doing is come here. If you want to throw the smoke early, you can. I usually wait for the Molotov to come out first and then put it out like this. If they don't throw that molly, I usually just come out here and look for a pick down here, like on the low side. This is also a bit of a gamble, but it's usually pretty decent. Now as a connector player, generally speaking, you're a little more worried about underpass than you are anything else. Ideally, your opera is looking towards mid, and ideally your cat player is also looking towards mid, more so like the chair side of things. And if your opera gets smoked out, then you want to make sure you have underpass, because your cat player can't watch underpass. But generally, all you really need to know is make sure you throw a smoke to cancel out their molly so they can't push you. And from there, you just want to feel out how they're playing. Maybe you need to give it up and re-aggress somewhere else, or bring the fight to them with good flashes into mid. Now, if they're not coming towards mid, or if it's like late round, you're worried about this palace peak right here, and people coming out A basically. So when you do run away, you're worried about this op angle, because you'll never know if a T is actually posted up here. Now, as a window player, if you don't have a good spawn, like if you don't have a spawn that's somewhere up front like this, you're kind of scared of the window peak, because T's will beat you there because they could have a good spawn. So you want to have a way to kind of mess up their this dry peak right here. One of my friends has a neat flash where you stand in front of this table right here and aim at this corner right there. And this might be kind of useful. But if you are taking the mid peak, the mid fight, because you know they don't smoke top mid, you don't always want to just sit right here, right? You want to mix it up a little bit. Stand on the sawhorse like this. Oh, I missed. You know, stand on the sawhorse like this. You know, If you have time and you have a good spawn, you can cross really far and play like an angle here maybe. And then if you have to fall, you can smoke yourself out. If you're bold and brazen, you can try making the cat jump and get position for an early pick. There's a few ways to play it. You can play here and try to play behind their smoke. You can just go straight up here, get on the ledge right here and look over their top mid smoke. Or you could do the safe but aggressive pick, which is come here and drop straight down right here and op at this angle. Get that op pick and fall back. A lot of ways to play window, but you're also likely to get smoked out. So you want to have like some thing to go to when you do get smoked out. You can start posting up on Palace. You could try to get your A ramp or get your A players to push A ramp. That's another option. Or you could just rotate yourself into like CT or into B to try to support mid from there. As a cat player, one common mistake that people do is go straight into cat and straight towards mid. What you want to do is, for the first like 15 seconds of the rounds, get ready for a B rush. Even if they're full buying, even if, you know, they're like forcing or whatever, get into position where you can react to a B rush by hearing like a bunch of footsteps right here. Very commonly, what you'll see is a molly just primed right here. If you hear a lot of steps, throw the molly. Maybe throw a smoke. Right. Just get counter utility ready so that if you hear the B rush coming in, you can just destroy it. So, you know, molly, nade, maybe even like flashes. Stall them out. And then you can play the pillar, you can play angle like this. Just come out here, watch for the balk, watch for the window jump out, swing this way again. Pretty good isolation from this angle, but you are a little stuck, so you need to get your frags so they don't overwhelm you. If there's no actual rush coming in, then you can start working towards mid. You can throw a flash into chair to blind people mid. This is pretty good just to support your teammates, especially if you're a con and window player like need to peek for whatever reason. This is a very basic, you know, no shills, no whatever, nothing special, but it works most of the time. You could also throw a flash above window like this. Not as effective since it's farther away from them, but still could be okay-ish. And from there, you're kind of just playing it by ear. You're kind of like reacting to what they're doing. Although if you want to get proactive, you could start coordinating pushes, but that's up to you as a team and for you to figure out. B is the most boring place to play on Mirage because I swear, in my experience of playing B as an anchor, it's either your team is dead or you're in a bad disadvantage because your team lost to an AXEC, or they're rushing B. So you either see nothing or you see all of them. And it's great. It's not great. Someone yell at me in the comments if I don't have a video in the description, but there's a super old video by Dazed that analyzed Shroud and MSL playing B on Mirage. And I think that's like my basis for how to play B on this map. The gist of it is there's a few ways to do it. You can burn this early molly to deny pushes. And then you can either jump spot, although it's a little more dangerous now because the ledge is like shorter. You can still sort of jump spot. It's not the worst thing in the world. That molly will prevent any early pushes. And if you do see one, what you can do is fall back, throw like maybe a smoke or a flash to dissuade them from pushing. That's a terrible smoke. But you want to have something to throw so that if they do decide to come in on you, you can prevent them from aggressing from your relatively exposed position. Now you could get aggressive. There is a way to do this jump right here. I never learned how to do it, honestly. But you can try figuring out how to do this jump right here. And you could get really aggressive really quickly. Or you could be a boomer like me and just do it the normal way and try to get something going on right there. There is a pixel angle right here. just so you know, you can get one shot through this pixel angle. So if you're an AWPer and you're playing B, that's a relatively powerful spot to be able to get to. It also gives you a whole bunch of vision of if there's anyone towards B, because you'll see them cross kitchen right there. And if you do see them cross and you can't get the shot, then you can just fall back. Other than that, good spots to play. Jail is a kind of a one and done spot. You either like play here and frag out with a crossfire, or you just die because you don't go anywhere. You could try to play the bench. I don't like this angle. For some reason, I always get headshot here. This is a nice angle, especially if you have a an AUG. I was almost gonna say Krieg, but the Krieg XD. This is a really weird off angle that catches a good amount of people off guard. And then you can just start playing headshot angles like this, or like this, or even like an off angle like here. So that's really it for the Mirage primer. This raw recording is actually 50 minutes, so I wouldn't say that's it, but that's it. This map is heavily centered around towards mid, so you want to make sure your mid defense is good. If your mid defense for whatever reason isn't working, you need to find a way to react to it or to aggress it. You can like aggressively push mid. I didn't show that off purposely because this ledge makes the old Astralis smoke not as effective. Maybe you want to aggress towards A ramp, maybe you want to aggress towards B, but that's a little more higher level and more coordinated team play rather than just like basic, this is the map. As anchors on the CT side of things, your job is to live and or to frag out. But everyone needs to make sure that they can stall out T's enough and get picks in mid so that you don't lose mid and you don't get split on. On the T side of things, I mean, you're trying to split mid. You're trying to take mid and split into a bomb site. Now you can take this as slowly or as quickly as you want, depending on what smokes you throw and how early you throw them. But one rule of thumb that I have personally is, if you don't know what to do, get into ladder. Executes onto bomb sites obviously are very good, but you have to realize that there are going to be 3 people there relatively quickly, because this cat player, for example, can very easily come into B. This window player is going to be rotating, I would say, about the time you get there. Like, by the time you're swinging out fully, the window player is probably already rotated by then. And then, same case for A, the connector player is like right here. He's basically next to the bomb site anyway. And the window player, I mean, he's just going to come here and he's on the A bomb site. So yeah, thanks for watching. That's the primer. And feel free to get ready for the train primer. I hate train, but I kind of know how to play it, so it's okay. Thanks for watching.